He idolized the perpetrator of the deadliest school shooting in American history, and he was determined to surpass them. In just 11 minutes, he took 27 lives. 20 of them were children between 6 and 7 years old. But what drove him to such unfathomable cruelty toward the young and innocent? The motive remains a mystery, the truth obscured. And behind this tragedy lies a question that continues to haunt America. What were we missing? Newtown, Connecticut, is a quiet town of fewer than 30,000 residents. The kind of place where people build lives, raise families, and believe nothing terrible will ever happen. In the center of town sits Sandy Hook Elementary School, a pride of the community, 700 students, devoted teachers, families bound by trust. But on a quiet Friday morning in December 2012, this ordinary schoolhouse became the site of the darkest chapter in American school shooting history. To understand what happened, we need to look at the person who walked through those doors. We need to talk about Adam Lanza. Adam Lanza was born on the 22nd of April 1992 in Connecticut. Unlike many who would commit unspeakable acts, his childhood was not marked by darkness. He wasn't born into poverty or abuse. He came from a middle-class family. His father, Peter, worked as a tax manager for General Electric. His mother, Nancy, was a devoted homemaker. If most killers are broken by life, warped by circumstance and trauma, then Adam Lanza seemed to be born broken. At age 3, Adam showed signs of severe developmental differences. He couldn't speak. Instead, he created his own language, a system only he could understand. Doctors diagnosed him with sensory integration disorder. His brain wasn't processing information the way other children's did. And from that moment, something in Adam's trajectory shifted. In 5th grade, Adam co-authored a project with his best friend. On the surface, it seemed innocent, a children's creative work. The title, The Book of Grandma, but the content was deeply disturbing. The pages were filled with graphic descriptions of murdering children, cannibalism, and human specimen collection. This wasn't isolated. This was a pattern. By middle school, his creative writing had become obsessively violent. Teachers noted his work was consumed with combat, destruction, and warfare. His writing was so disturbing, so graphic, that other students weren't allowed to see it. Meanwhile, Adam was withdrawing. He avoided social contact. He wouldn't attend parties or gatherings, not even his own birthday. Teachers repeatedly flagged their concerns to his mother. They believed he had social deficits that required intervention. His parents wondered if he was being bullied at school, but when they investigated, they found no evidence of it. Desperate to find the right environment for their son, Adam's parents enrolled him in a private Catholic school that offered smaller class sizes and more individualized attention. It lasted 1 year, then he was expelled. The exact reasons remain unclear. Back in public school, Adam's condition deteriorated rapidly. Severe insomnia, loss of appetite. He required emergency hospitalization for evaluation. The diagnosis: Asperger's syndrome with severe social dysfunction. The doctor's recommendation was stark. Adam needed homeschooling. No traditional school environment could accommodate his needs. And so began what Adam himself would later describe as a caged existence. His room became his world. Windows were sealed shut with black garbage bags, blocking out every trace of natural light. His obsessive-compulsive behaviors escalated. He would change socks 20 times a day until his hands bled from constant washing. These weren't minor quirks. These were red flags, warning signs of a mind deteriorating. But inside this sealed room, Adam discovered an escape: the internet. He became obsessed with video games, especially first-person shooters. By 2006, his interest took a darker turn. He began researching mass shooters, visiting forums dedicated to discussing mass shooting events, reading manifestos, studying details. By 2009, using the username Smiggle, he joined an online forum called Shock and Beyond Belief, a community dedicated to analyzing and discussing mass shootings in America. Adam was particularly fascinated by Columbine. He didn't just read about it, he idolized the perpetrators. He would post about them online, discussing ways to replicate their actions. This wasn't idle curiosity. Adam began systematically collecting data. He created a massive spreadsheet measuring 7 feet by 4 feet, documenting approximately 500 mass shooters. He ranked them by body count. He cataloged their weapons. He studied their tactical approaches with the focus of a military strategist. On Wikipedia, using the username @CaneBreaded, he edited multiple articles about mass shooting incidents: the Dawson College shooting, the Collier Township shooting, the Westroads Mall shooting. His research was thorough, obsessive, systematic. In 2011, Adam did something especially disturbing. He called into a local radio show a program called Anarchist Radio and attempted to make a philosophical argument. He referenced a case involving Travis the chimp, an animal that had attacked a woman and been shot by police. Adam tried to use this incident to argue that civilized society was a lie, that human morality was arbitrary. The host would later confirm, yes, that was really Adam Lanza calling in, making these arguments about the hypocrisy of civilization and animal nature.
What do I feel right now? Do I feel none of that matters and I can just enjoy my happiness? Basically, no, fuck life. I should kill myself. This is me in my happiest mode. Because there is no happiness. I mean, happiness is death. I've already outlined in my previous videos, my previous rambling vlog, whatever videos today, that life is suffering and death is happiness. It makes perfect sense to me right now. It always makes perfect sense to me. And so even when there's not really a difference in my actions based on whether I'm in my worst or best mood, I still persist in just going through the motions. And I never pursue death. And I never pursue life. I'm just kind of in an intermediate stage. But I am in a good mood, so don't let anyone tell you that I want to die because life is so miserable, because that's not my position. I've said this so many times. Life is a great thing, and that's the problem.
He later wrote about the call online, admitting it was him. A slow picture was emerging, a young man sinking deeper into a world of violence, extremism, and antisocial ideology. In June 2009, Adam graduated from high school. Academically, he'd done fine. Socially, his condition had not improved. Despite warnings from doctors and educators, Adam stopped all psychiatric treatment. That decision would be permanent. He attempted college. Within a year, he withdrew. The official records are vague about why, but emails recovered by the FBI between his parents reveal something alarming. Nancy wrote to Peter about an unexplained incident. Adam had reacted with extreme distress. He'd covered his face, refused to speak, and retreated to his room for hours without eating. In September 2010, Adam suddenly announced he wanted to join the Army Rangers. It was unrealistic, impossible really. For someone with his severe communication disorder, military service was a fantasy. When his father pointed this out, they argued, badly, brutally. The relationship between father and son never recovered. Peter tried repeatedly to reach out. Adam never responded. By year's end, Peter was working away from home for extended periods. The household now consisted only of Nancy and Adam. Nancy, perhaps trying to connect with her isolated son, enabled his growing obsession with firearms. She purchased weapons for him. She took him to the shooting range. For brief periods, it seemed to ease his pain. He even developed a strange, temporary escape. He became obsessed with a dance video game and spent entire weeks at the arcade, playing for up to 10 hours at a time until he nearly collapsed from exhaustion. But the connection between mother and son was fragile. As time passed, Adam began displaying overt hostility toward her. Eventually, despite living under the same roof, they communicated only through email. A mother and son, separated by technology and mutual alienation, in the same house. The 13th of December 2012. After the Thanksgiving holidays, Adam drove past Sandy Hook Elementary School. He continued down the road about half a mile, then he turned around and drove back the same route. It wasn't a casual drive. Investigators would later determine he was casing the location, planning his route. This was reconnaissance. The 14th of December 2012, a Friday morning. Before 8 a.m., neighbors reported hearing 3 or 4 rifle shots near Adam's home. They figured it was a hunter in the woods. Nothing unusual. At 9:35 a.m., Adam Lanza drove his Honda Civic to Sandy Hook Elementary School. He was fully armed. A 12-gauge semi-automatic shotgun, an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, 2 handguns, 24 loaded magazines. Curiously, when he arrived at the school, he left the shotgun and most of the ammunition in the vehicle. He kept only the AR-15 and his handguns. He put in earplugs. He dressed in tactical gear. He fired 1 test shot at the ground to ensure his magazine was properly loaded. That single gunshot echoed through the school, interrupting the morning announcements being broadcast in every classroom. School principal Dawn Hochsprung and school psychologist Mary Sherlock were in a meeting with staff when they heard the shot. They didn't immediately recognize it as gunfire, but when more shots followed, They moved to the hallway to investigate. Chief teacher, Natalie Hammond, was with them. That's when they saw him. When they understood, someone shouted, "There's a shooter! Get down!" That shout, that simple moment of awareness saved lives. The school custodian, Rick Thorne, yelled at Adam to drop his weapon. Adam didn't hesitate. He opened fire. Principal Hochsprung was killed instantly. So was Mary Sherlash. Natalie Hammond was shot in the leg. Playing dead, she crawled into the conference room and barricaded the door with her body. Then Adam moved deeper into the building. When he approached the conference room where staff members had taken shelter, he entered, found no one, and moved on. He didn't search thoroughly. He didn't find them. But now the real horror was about to unfold. Adam moved through the hallway to classroom 8, a first-grade class taught by Lauren Russo and Rachel Davino. Rachel was a substitute teacher. There were 15 6-year-olds in that room. The two teachers shepherded the children into the small bathroom at the back of the classroom, but there wasn't enough room. 17 people couldn't fit. The door couldn't close properly. Adam noticed. He stood at the doorway and opened fire indiscriminately through the opening. A young boy screamed, "Help me! I don't want to be here." Adam responded coldly, "Well, you're here." One 6-year-old girl survived. She lay among the dead, covered in blood, playing dead until police found her hours later, huddled in a corner. Adam left the classroom and moved to room 10, the other first-grade classroom, taught by teacher Victoria Lee Soto. He burst in. Same tactic. Unloading bullets into the room where children huddled, trying desperately to hide. In the chaos, he killed 6 more children, 6 more educators, 20 young lives, 6 dedicated teachers. Gone. By the time police sirens wailed outside the building, Adam Lanza had made his final decision. He pressed a handgun to his head. 26 people were murdered in 11 minutes. In a place meant for learning and safety, an incomprehensible evil had been unleashed. At 10 a.m., police tactical teams arrived to a scene of devastation and blood. Investigators would later confirm that only Natalie Hammond survived her wounds. Every other victim was dead. And on multiple bodies, evidence of multiple gunshot wounds, Adam had fired additional shots into already deceased victims. But the investigation hit a wall. What was his motive? Most mass shooters have a traceable reason. They were bullied. They were rejected. They were seeking revenge for a perceived slight. Adam Lanza had none of these. When police entered his home at 36 Yogananda Street, they found his mother in her bed, dead. She had been shot 4 times in the head. 4 shots. Authorities would later speculate, perhaps representing the 4 members of the household: Nancy, Peter, his brother Ryan, and himself. Peter later said that if he and Ryan had been home, they too would have been murdered. But a motive for the massacre itself? There was no clear explanation, no manifesto, no written declaration of intent. On the 25th of November 2013, the Connecticut Office of the Chief State's Attorney released its final investigation report. It confirmed Adam Lanza acted alone. His actions were planned over months, possibly years. The report documented his firearms expertise, his obsessive research into mass murders, his systematic collection of data. But then came the conclusion: no clear motive has been determined. Before the attack, Adam had destroyed his computer's hard drive. Whatever thoughts were in his mind, whatever manifesto or explanation he might have written, it was gone, erased forever. But the investigation did uncover one troubling thing. Among his writings, Adam had authored an essay arguing that pedophilia shouldn't be condemned or criminalized. Some online investigators claim to have found a YouTube channel associated with him containing audio that seemed to corroborate this ideology. The FBI was aware of the essay, but even investigators stopped short of calling this his primary motivation. The motive remained a void, an empty space at the center of the tragedy. The Sandy Hook shooting is more than a story about madness and murder. It's a story about profound isolation, about systems that failed, about the gap between observation and intervention. It raises questions we still haven't answered. When an individual begins descending into darkness, at what point should families, communities, institutions step in? How do we balance individual privacy with public safety? What are we missing when warning signs are visible, but action is never taken? Adam Lanza's life showed nearly every warning sign a society could identify, yet he remained until it was too late, unreachable. And perhaps that is the most disturbing truth of all. That's where we end today's story. Thank you for watching. If you'd like us to cover other school shootings including Columbine, the very attack Adam idolized, let us know in the comments. If this video resonates with you, we'll dig deeper into that tragedy next. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. 那么再次感谢您的收听，我们下期再见。